When superheroes break, the untold cost of being a hero, there are cities whose lights never go out. Above those restless grids, on rooftops and in alleyways, move figures most people only glimpse at the edge of a disaster, a blur in midnight shadow. Gloved hand in the firelight, a mask descending from the storm. They are the ones the world calls superheroes. To the public, their lives are a parade of victory, saving burning buses, grappling meteors from the sky, wrestling villains in the glare of every smartphone camera. But tonight, let us slip past the headlines, behind the masks, and into the quiet. Unseen rooms where heroes return, alone and battered, when the world isn't watching. Consider Cassandra Vale, once the invincible Argent Sentinel. Her power was legend, a luminous force field, impenetrable and perfect, shaped from pure will. For years, she was the city's silent protector, the shield against chaos, the last line between a fragile peace and oblivion. But the news never told you about the trembling in her hands, how at dawn, after another endless night of repelling explosions, the glow in her palms would flicker and die. No one knew that with each battle, her migraines worsened, her nerves frayed. She learned to hide the blood that trickled from her ears behind an ever-stronger smile. Cassandra fought not just monsters, but the invisible war inside her own body, a toll no adversary ever paid. There were others. Gabriel North, a laughing dynamo, could reroute electricity through his veins, lighting up the skyline with a gesture. Yet Gabriel spent his first decade as a hero in the afterglow of glory, swept along by cheers before the insomnia and the shakes began. Years of overloading his nervous system left him with chronic fatigue and nightmares laced with thunder and screaming metal. Hospital technicians, sworn to secrecy, monitored his heart with grave faces. He laughed less often. Though the city still called him Dynamo, trusted him to keep the lights burning, the unseen cost was more than physical. Each hero bore scars that couldn't be photographed or stitched up. Behind closed doors, Cassandra and Gabriel, along with others like them, would gather once a month in a dim, rented hall above an abandoned theater. No icons, no costumes, just battered adults in street clothes, circling folding chairs. They spoke in half-whispers about collateral damage and bystanders they failed to save, carried the names of those lost like stones in their pockets. Single memory could unravel a hero. For Cassandra, it was the flood of year 7, when her force field, stretched to the breaking point, collapsed 5 seconds too soon. 5 seconds, a measurement that replays every night when she closes her eyes. For Gabriel, it was the blackout during last autumn's inferno, when every ounce of energy was gone, and he watched the city flicker into darkness he could not mend. But there were deeper wounds, the ones forged in the heart. Cassandra's partner had left long ago. Unable to live alongside a life haunted by violence and unpredictability, Gabriel's family learned to expect broken promises and sudden disappearances, holidays cut short, birthdays missed, apologies piling up, insincere but desperate. Each loss was a chisel against the person beneath the symbol. Sometimes the mask becomes its own prison. In public, they played the part strong, composed, brave. At home, their faces were no longer mirrors of triumph, but maps of exhaustion and doubt. There were days when Cassandra could not bring herself to rise, when the armor felt as heavy as regret, and every ordinary task was a battle harder than facing any villain. Gabriel sometimes wandered the city for hours, unseen, savoring the anonymity and fearing the next emergency that would demand everything he had left. One evening, the inevitable crack appeared. During a rescue atop the Mercier Bridge, Cassandra's shield flickered and vanished, left her exposed in front of cameras, helpless for the first time. To the world, it was a fleeting vulnerability, quickly covered by Dynamo's intervention. But to Cassandra, it was the moment she realized that even legends could break. The media spun a narrative of triumph. The Sentinel returns, Dynamo saves the day, crisis averted. But the cost was this: a private reckoning in a cheap hotel room. Cassandra shivering, Gabriel sitting beside her, neither speaking because what was left to say. The city cheered, but the city could not see them here. Stripped of magic, stripped of myth, to broken people with nothing left but quiet and the knowledge that, eventually, even the strongest must fall. And in that silence lies the untold story. Superheroes do not break the way the rest of us do. When they fracture, worlds tremble a little, cities we suspect grow colder. Yet the cost is not measured in toppled towers or spectacular defeat, but in what is quietly lost: a night's sleep, a steady hand, a loved one's trust, the memory of simpler days. They pay every day, not in applause but in endurance. In marching on, battered but upright, they model a different kind of heroism, one not found in comic books, but in the silent act of surviving day after day, unseen and uncelebrated. So the next time a shadow sweeps across the sky, a figure leaps into the fire, or a city's heart beats on in defiance, remember, even legends break. And when they do, there is a cost. The story of a hero is not only the victories we celebrate, but the quiet, unseen toll that every triumph exacts. And in the end, that is the most human story of all.